Hey everyone, just wanted to give you a quick heads up. The second Global Product Owner Summit is coming soon. You can get all the details at bit.ly/Product Owner 2024. That's bit.ly/Product Owner 2024. And it's all lowercase, all one word. Oh, and stick with us until the end of the episode to know the dates and the tracks that we have for you in this year's summit. But for now, let's dive into today's episode. Hello, everybody. Welcome to our Team Tuesday. And this week we have with us Paul Jarvis. Hey, Paul, welcome back.
Thank you. Good to be back.
So, Paul, on Tuesday, we talk about teams and how sometimes they create their own problems. But before we go there, do share with us, what was the book that most influenced you in your career as a Scrum Master?
Cool. That's a tough one. That's like asking me what's my favorite film or what's my favorite music album. You know, I think it's very hard to just pick one. I think significant books that really were like milestones, if you like, on my journey from developer to project manager to Scrum Master to Agile coach and then trainer, etc. I think Jurgen Appelo's Management 3.0 was a milestone book. It was one of the first major contributions to what we understand by the word Agile from outside the United States. I'm trying to remember what year it was published. I think it was 2009, 2010, but I'm not 100% sure.
Around that time, yeah.
Yeah, I was lucky enough to have a person who was a very clever chap who owned his own consultancy company, and he mentored me for a little while. And I just finished one job, and I was taking a break, and I went to see him for a chat, and he said, "You need to read this book." So I bought a book, and I went and read it on the beach on holiday. And I can remember still returning the pages of it now and having light bulb moments flash off going, yes, that is so right. And he was really good at explaining why Agile is going to work and how it's not supposed to be easy. It's supposed to feel like, you know, there's a bit of duress and a bit of stress in the system as we discover what our solution is, what the problem we're trying to solve is, and what the solution is. Very often the final jigsaw is not visible to us from the start, especially in something complicated like software development. And then I'd say Lyssa Adkins coaching Agile Teams, as I was a Scrum Master when I read Jurgen Appelo's Management 3.0, and then I was moving from Scrum Master to Agile Coach when I read Lyssa Adkins coaching Agile Teams. I was lucky enough to be on her 3-day course the first time she did that in London with her business partner Michael Spade back in November 2015. Another couple of books that I have to mention that I'll probably come back to in one of my stories later were Kim Scott's with Radical Candor and a guy called Marshal Rosenberg with Nonviolent Communication. And they're not strictly Agile books. I'd of course class them more as management books, but I've used both of those frameworks. In fact, I've put them together in more than one organization that I've worked and used it as an approach to having conflict navigation, constructive disagreement, and approaching those difficult sort of feedback conversations we have to have with each other. And that's not just from management downwards, that's bi-directional within all organizations. So they have to get a mention. And last of all, the last really good book I read was actually last summer, Adam Grant, Think Again. I don't know if you've heard of Adam Grant, but he calls himself an organizational psychologist. Look him up on LinkedIn. He's a very clever guy. And his book is called Think Again, and he's got lots of great ideas in it, but the basic premise of it is that we should always be rethinking what we think we understand to be our knowledge and to be the truth, because things change all the time. And it gives a good example in it of what's called the Dunning-Kruger effect, and it's a graph that goes like that. And sometimes the first peak you get to is called the Dunning-Kruger trap. It's two scientists who came up with it. It's called Mount Stupid. Sometimes we can be stood on the summit of Mount Stupid where we've got a little bit of knowledge on something, and we think we know more than we do. As he says in the book, you want to exercise confident humility, and then you'll go down the peak and then up to the other side. Then you will get to the top, the summit of
I
it.
think that aspect of recognizing the limits of our knowledge can be quite challenging.
It is.
So for you, like, have you found any tricks, any approaches that help you stay humble, as you just said?
I always try and staying humble is actually very important. I read a very good book, and actually another guy should get a mention. This guy called Patrick Lencioni. I'm sure you've heard of him, The Five Dysfunctions of a Team. I mean,
Gets mentioned quite often here.
every Scrum Master needs to read that book. Every Scrum Master. And I read another one by him called The Ideal Team Player. And he boiled it down to three characteristics. I'll cut to the chase. Number three was hungry, so that you're enthusiastic. You need to be enthusiastic. A good team, you want to see in your other team members enthusiasm and, hungry to do the work and tackle things. Enthusiastic. Number two, so it's hungry, smart, and it doesn't mean necessarily technical smart. It means more people smart. But number one priority, number one thing you want to see in one of your teammates is humility. And I've always bear that in mind. So as an agile coach, I really enjoy leading by example, staying humble all the time. Always, as I said earlier, I think yesterday in my answer, I don't want to shove things down the back of people's throats. I try and say, I think this might be a better way of working. What do you think? And then I want to hear their feedback, want to hear what they think, because I know a bit about agility, but I don't usually know. I never know as much as them about their own domain. So their answer,
context, of course.
They're the ones who have the answers. I can show them how they might be able to put them together. And I think approaching that with humility is very, very important as an agile coach.
So, Paul, that's a whole library of books. The links will be in the show notes, so be sure to check those out. All of the books will be listed there. But now we turn our attention to teams and how sometimes they create their own problems despite and perhaps even because of our best efforts. So let's dive into one of those stories. Share a story of the team that you work with, and what were those small little things, behaviors that over time grew and became a problem for that team?
So I had a team, and I worked in a payments company for a couple of years, like a small version of PayPal. And I had the two highest performing squads or teams in the company. One worked with a load of other teams in Bulgaria doing the website, and I had the only mobile squad. So we did I had two brands, and we're doing 4 apps. We're doing 2 apps for each brand, iOS and Android. But in one of the online teams, I did have a problem about, I think, how can I put it? People's ego, if you like. And
can you give an example of what you meant by that?
I'm going to, yeah. So I had one particular case where one chap was volunteered to do something. I as a Scrum Master, I couldn't have asked more. But then I could see him getting stuck, and no matter how much I tried to help him and encourage him to talk to his teammates, he had a tendency to more go into his own and try and solve all the problems himself rather than relying on the strength of the team. And I tried to persuade him. I don't know what different I would have done now looking back again. I didn't persuade him enough, and he did eventually get over the line, but it was much more painful than it needed to be. Sometimes we can be blissfully unaware of the power of the team.
Yeah, that's actually a great term, the power of the team. And if I recall, like, how we were taught in university and how we eventually get rewarded at work, there are quite a lot of forces that push us away from the team and more into self, right? Like, I want to be the best, I want to achieve the most so that I get recognition. And
yes.
When you think about working with teams, Paul, How do you bring up that aspect, and how do you help people understand that aspect of, as you called it, the power of the team?
That's a good question. You've unearthed one of my ace cards, and something that I encourage all Scrum Masters to do, and that is to learn the metaphor that is the high performance tree. I first heard it introduced by Lyssa Adkins in her book, Coaching Agile Teams. Ever since I've come across it, I've done it with every single team I've ever Scrum Mastered. And I've gone through it with every Scrum Master I've ever coached. And I've asked them to do it with every team that they're Scrum Master. And it's a metaphor for what good Scrum looks like. Like most metaphors and good ideas, she probably saw the same performance tree or the same tree metaphor in another context and thought, I could use that with Scrum. And the roots of our tree are the 5 core values. So focus, respect, openness, courage, and commitment. And then she says, if we keep those close to everything that we do every day, the tree, our work, our team will start to grow. It will become an inviting place to live. It will go up, reach towards the sun. And then suddenly we'll look around and we'll see lots of leaves and branches, which represent the behaviors. So we'll see consensus-driven teams, teams making their own decisions, and team and the room for team and individual growth. But one of the things we'll see is everything is for the team. There's no I, there's no individuals. It's just the collective power of the team. It's a great metaphor, and I recommend all Scrum Masters to take a look at it. If you go to Google, you can Google Lyssa Adkins does a wonderful job just drawing it in 5 or 6 minutes and going through it. It's a great thing to do at the start of a retrospective or something like that. Pinch some time. You only need 5 or 10 minutes for it. And I normally draw it and then hang it up on the wall where the team works to remind them of what. It's just to remind us of what good looks like when it comes to Scrum.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's something that we need to have present, what good looks like, so that we can refer to it. Paul, that was a great story. Thank you for sharing.
Pleasure. You're welcome.
Hi there, Agile friends. Thank you for sticking around and listening to the details of the Product Owner Summit, this year's global summit dedicated to a critical Scrum role, the Product Owner role, of course. We'll have some amazing keynotes and 4 tracks filled with first-hand stories and experiences for product owners to learn more about that critical Scrum role. The summit will take place between April 23rd and 25th, so book your calendars. There will be loads of sessions for you to attend. One of the keynotes will be Dave West, the product owner and CEO at Scrum.org, one of the largest Scrum organizations in the world. If you want to know more, check out the details at bit.ly/product owner 2024. That's all one word, all lowercase, bit.ly/product owner 2024. We will also have 4 tracks. The 4 tracks will cover cross-functional product ownership. That's track 1. As Pixar's Ratatouille said, not every idea can be a great idea, but a great idea can come from anywhere. And this quote emphasizes the importance of a product owner being open to all ideas, regardless of the source, and also challenges us to focus on getting good ideas from everywhere and involving the whole team in the product owner role and responsibilities. The second track is Designing Products for Growth, where we explore how to craft products ready for scalable growth, merging practical strategies with innovation. The idea here is to learn to design products for growth, whether it is sales or customer acquisition. The third track is Know Your Users, user-centric approaches for agile development. In this track, we learn to master user-centric techniques in agile development, to deeply understand customer needs and transform insights into meaningful UX designs that focus on engagement and satisfaction. This is a track ideal for innovation-focused agile teams. And the fourth track, one of the most exciting tracks in my opinion, is product development with AI, ideas for product owners. Not only do we discuss about using AI in the products, but also AI for product owners to learn to make a bigger impact with the help of the AI tools that we already have. The Product Owner Summit will also present to you great opportunities to network with your peers. So get your ticket and join our Slack. You can get the ticket and join the Slack at bit.ly/Product Owner 2024. As always, we have free tickets and also the paid tickets that help to support this podcast. So check them out at bit.ly/Product Owner 2024. That's all lowercase, all one word, Product Owner 2024. I'll see you in the summit floor.